praise to the Most High. Shalom, shalom. What's going on? All praise to Yahuwah. Toda Rabbah Yahuwah, Toda Rabbah Father. You wonderful, worthy to be praised. Toda Rabbah Yahusha, Toda Rabbah Father, for another prep day, Father. Toda Rabbah for your blessings, Yahuwah. Oh, Father, for blessing us to be in the land of the living, Yahuwah. Toda Rabbah Yahusha, Toda Rabbah that you are through and that your mercy endureth forever, Father. For your, oh, Father, for your love, your ahavah. Oh, Toda Rabbah for your covering, Father, for your blessings, your grace, your hesed, your acham, Toda Rabbah Yahusha. For you are through, and yet your mercy endureth forever. Toda Rabbah for your mercy, Father. For your grace, Father. Toda Rabbah for your ahavah, Adonai. Toda Rabbah, Yahuwah, for blessing us to know you, Father. To be a part of this awakening part, to be a part of your set-apart people, Yahuwah. Father, Toda Rabbah, Father, for everything that you reveal to us and show us, Father. So for you, oh Father, reveal the secrets to your children. Oh Father, you reveal the hidden things to your sons and daughters. Toda Rabbah, Yahusha. Father, I pray in the name of Yahusha, Father, that you baruch this discussion, Adonai. That you baruch this word, Father, that it be your words and not mine, Ab Yahusha. Let these words, oh Father, let these teachings drop down like rain on fertile soil and bring forth fruit in abundance, Father. Yahuwah, I pray that you baruch everyone listening in and tuned in, Father. Oh, Most High, that you give them eyes to see and ears to hear, Father. That you baruch us to Shema Adonai Yahusha. Oh, Father, that you spread over them your love and barakot and shalom and ahavah and covering, Father, and provision and protection. Those who are called by your name, Yahusha. Oh, Father, I pray that everything that you want to come out, that it may come out, and that everything that you want to be stated, that it may be stated, Adonai Yahusha. Toda Rabbah Yahuwah, Toda Rabbah Yahusha. For you are through and wonderful and worthy to be praised, Father. The Shamayim declares your kabod. You are wonderful, and there's no one like you, Father. You are our everything, Adonai. You are our rock, our fortress. You are our foundation, Yahuwah. You are our everything, Father. You have created us, Adonai, and made us and shape, formed, and fashioned us in your image, Yahusha. Toda Rabbah Yahuwah. For you have made us and shape, formed, and fashioned us in your image, Yahusha. Toda Rabbah, that we are your bride, Yahusha. The bride of Yahusha. The body of Yahusha. Toda Rabbah, that you baruch us, Father, to be a light to the nations, Father. To be a people, a kingdom of Melachim and Kohen. Toda Rabbah Yahusha. Oh, for you are amazing, Father. For you are amazing that you took people who were slaves, that you took people who were in captivity and made them to be, oh, nobility. Toda Rabbah, Father, that you have brought us from, oh, Yahuwah, captivity to nobility, Yahuwah. Toda Rabbah, Yahusha. You are amazing and wonderful and just and righteous, magnificent and powerful and holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. Oh, Toda Rabbah, Yahuwah. Father, everything that you want to come out, may it come out. Baruch every comment, Father. Baruch every word that's spoken, Adonai, that it be, oh Father, exactly according to your will, Yahuwah. May everything that you want to be stated, Father. Oh, according to your covenant, Father. Oh, Toda Rabbah, Yahuwah. May it be established, Father, in the Shamayim as it is in the Retz, Adonai Yahusha. May it be established in the Shamayim as it is in the Retz, oh Saba Yahuwah. Oh, in the name of Yahusha, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. All praise to the Most High. Olam Hudim, La Yahuwah, La Yahusha HaMashiach. Kafel Hudim, I am Mispar Hudim. La Melech Moshe, La Melech Yahusha. Kafel Hudim, La Malka Kayel, La Malka Yada. Kafel Hudim, La Rosh Aluf Yithro, La Rosh Ha'as Yeshayahu. Kafel Hudim, La Hagabira Malaka Deborah, La Gabira O, La Alufim in the royal houses. Kafel Hudim, La Hamushalim, Ula Hamushala Oak, Kafel Hudim, La Ishti, Amet Yahu, Todah to Yahusha, Hudim, Hudim, La Sarah Ubakir Yamim, Hudim, La Sarah Ubakir Sarganim, Hudim, La Sarah Ubakir Ezerot, Hudim, La Hadarim, Ula Hadarot, Hudim, La Alufim, Ula Imayot in the west, Shalom Alekim, La Kol HaMishbakah. Shalom Aleichem, L'kol HaMishbakah. Shalom Aleichem, y'all. All praise to the Most High. Kimmy Lamar Richardson, Shalom Barakot. Es McCorkle, Shalom, Shalom. Shahonda Johnson, Shalom and blessings. Immunah, Shalom. Natanya Smith, Shalom Barakot. Ari Moshe Yisrael, Shalom, Shalom. Ebony Nicholson, Shalom and blessings. Yirmiyahu and Shemayahu, Shalom, Shalom. Shimshon and Harder, Shalom Barakot. Deontay Stewart, Shalom and blessings. Ivan Juan Little, Shalom Aki. Bethsaida Yahoo, Shalom, Shalom. Q Marie, Shalom and blessings to you. Shamar and Shakar, Shalom and Barakot. Kurakam Yahoo, Shalom, Shalom. Yuri L, Shalom and blessings to you. Shalom and blessings. Ima Yasha Yahoo, Houdin. Malaki Yah Hilawal, Shalom, Shalom. Naamaria, Shalom and blessings. All praise to the Most High. Dawi and Simcha, Shalom Barakot, y'all. All right, we're going to go ahead and get it in, y'all. Come on in, we about to begin. Come on in. All right, y'all, we're going to continue through this journey. My bad. See here, doubled up. All right, we're going to continue through this journey through DANIYEL, the book of Daniel. I was short on time last week, so I didn't really get to go in. So we're going to kind of do a little overlap from last week and then kind of continue through. But we're going to continue through the book of DANIYEL. This is a very important chapter, so we're pretty much just going to focus on this chapter today, chapter 2, and then we'll go from there. But DANIYEL is not a big book. I think it may be about, 12 or 13 chapters or something like that. It's not a big book, but very significant book. So, yeah, let's get right into it. All right. Told out to Yahu and Yahusha. So, chapter 2, DANIYEL chapter 2. So we need to go to. So let's see. There it goes. All right. All right, DANIYEL chapter 2, it says, now in the second year of Nebuchadnezzar's reign. So now this is the second year. So y'all remember a couple of weeks ago when we went through chapter 1, you know, how things started off. They were whining and dining, DANIYEL and his homeboys, you know. Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael, I believe, are the names. Those are Hebrew names. But again, we talked about it before. Babylon was all about indoctrinating the people they conquer with the ways of Babylon. So one of the first things they did was change their names. You see what I'm saying? So nevertheless, it says Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was troubled that his sleep left him. So that's a big deal. So that's what we want to talk about. So Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. Nebuchadnezzar is a Babylonian king. He is of the heathen. He is of the other nations, yet what we see here is that he had a dream. He had dreams. Raphael, shalom, fam. Shalom to you. He is of the other nations, yet he had a dream from Yahuwah. Prophetic dream from Yahuwah. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at something here. The Hebrew word for dream. Let's look at that. Is the Hebrew word halam. So this is tricky when you read the book of Daniel because some of the verses in the book of DANIYEL is in Aramaic. It is not in Hebrew, y'all. Some of the verses, not all of them, but some of it is in Aramaic. It is not in Hebrew. So what I did is I took the Hebrew equivalent, okay? The third thing is that the word for dream in Hebrew and Aramaic are pretty much the same. I believe in Aramaic is halom. Or Helim, and Hebrew is Halam, but it's the same Hebrew letters, the Het, Lam, and Mem. So this ain't really a big thing here. But what I did is I look at the Hebrew, y'all. That's very important. I look at the Hebrew. So even in the Brit Hadashah, we know the Brit Hadashah is not in Hebrew, right? When you look at it I'm talking about when you look at a concordance, stuff like that. We're not going to argue about, you know, or whether the original Brit Hadashah was in Hebrew, because there is evidence that at least maybe some of the books in the Brit Hadashah originally were in Hebrew, but that's neither here nor there. What we have are the Greek what's the word I'm looking for? Manuscripts of the Brit Hadashah. Of the Brit Hadashah, we have the Greek manuscripts. Why? Because our ancestors primarily spoke Greek, and the message that they were writing was to the children of Israel that were spread through the four corners. So during that time, during the Roman captivity, a lot of the Israelites did not know Hebrew anymore. They were spread across the Roman Empire by Greece. Really, it was the Greek that started it, but then Rome took over and took over around that same territory, which covered a multitude of nations. And so, in order for this message to reach their people, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and those who were scattered from Yehuda and the other tribes, Greek was what they called a lingua franca at that time, which means it was because Greek had so much dominion, most of the nations, even though they might not have knew Hebrew, it's a high chance that people know English. It's just like, for example, know Greek. Greek was a widely spoken language all throughout the provinces of Rome. So in that wisdom, the Brit Hadashah was written in Greek to really reach the scattered in a more effective way. Y'all get what I'm saying? Similar, you'll see similar concepts in other instances. For example, I'm going to give you an example, okay? We are of the scattered, right? We are of the scattered. If I was to, let's say, write a letter that I wanted to disperse to y'all for y'all to read, maybe surrounding some breakdown of the Torah, am I going to do it in Hebrew? Or am I going to write it in English? If I was to write a book, am I going to write it in Hebrew or am I going to write it in English? You see what I'm saying? I'm going to write it in English. English is basically the lingua franca in this whole region. Even if it's shipped across the countries, it's a lot higher chance that people will have an understanding of English than Hebrew. I'm talking about even if I send it to Africa, you know, a lot of people, even in the continent, they have an understanding of English. A lot of people do. Versus Hebrew, yeah, no. Because of the dominion that America's had over the world. America is Babylon, so it's so much dominion. Like when I lived overseas, like I could use a lot of I don't think it's like that no more. This was a long time ago, but man, America had so much dominion, especially back then. I can go with my American money in other countries and they'll just take it. I could buy stuff with it. I didn't even have to transfer, go get the money, transfer it at a bank or nothing. So I just say all that to say, because people I'm just saying that on purpose because people be getting all crazy about the Brit Hadashah being in Greek. And y'all got to understand they was in captivity, y'all, when the Brit Hadashah was written, when they were pinning down these records, man, they were all in captivity, y'all. They were in captivity to Rome. And they were trying to reach the people that were in captivity. So it made sense. Yeah, that's why, you know, it was in a language that was most likely people were going to be able to read from the dispersed, from the captivity. That's why you had the Septuagint. The Septuagint was basically the scriptures written in Greek, transferred from Hebrew to Greek. It was 70 scholars, Hebraic scholars, who took a lot of time to get the Hebrew scriptures translated into Greek back then. I'm sorry, yeah, Greek. I think that's the word. Yeah, back then, just so that people can have access to the Torah, Israelites who were scattered. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was a side note. This is my point. The Brit Hadashah is in Greek, but I don't deal with the Greek. So what I do is when I'm reading the Brit Hadashah and we're studying, I'll find the Greek word to the word I'm trying to study and understand more, and get the Hebraic equivalent. Because I try not to deal with the languages of the other nations like that as much as we can. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, Hanuk. Shalom, shalom to you, fam. Yeah. He said Hebrews wasn't writing Hebrew today. Yeah, ain't none of us writing no Hebrew. Would nobody be able to read it? So, in this, since some of the stuff is in Aramaic in the book of Daniel, what I do is I take the Aramaic word and then get the Hebrew equivalent. All right. So, with that being said, all right, the Hebrew word for dream is halam. But if you look in the Greek concordance, in the Strong's concordance from Daniel chapter 2, it's going to give you the Aramaic version, which is like halom or something like that. In this instance, it's not a big deal because it's pretty much the same word, just a little bit different pronunciation. But when you look at halam, you got a het, lamed, a mem. The het is you can really see it in the biblical Hebrew. It's like a wall or like a gate that's closed. So it can mean a wall to divide, but it also can mean like concealed because it's behind it's in the gates. It's concealed. Then you have the hay in contrast, which means revealed. It's like the opposite of the hay. It can mean revealed. That's the hay. And in biblical Hebrew, the hay, it looks just like this, except it has the open part. It's revealed. It's not closed gate where things is concealed. In the pictograph Hebrew is different. The hay is the person with his hands up. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, the breakdown it's a concealed instruction or teaching from the nations. It's a concealed instruction or teaching from the nations. Okay? What that means is that when I say it's concealed from the nations, that means it's hidden from the nation. It's a concealed teaching. It's concealed from the nations. You get what I'm saying? Meaning that it is concealed from the nations. Like the nations don't have access to it. It's a teaching that's concealed from them, that's hidden from them. That's the concept. That's the Hebraic concept of a dream. That's a Hebraic concept of a dream, and I submit it's similar with visions as well. The book of Revelation is the book of Kazayon, the book of Revelation. Yachanan was in exile on Patmos. That might have been one of the reasons why the Most High dealt with him in visions and stuff and similitudes like visions and things like that, so that it'll be concealed from the nations. Because remember, when Revelation was written, Yachanan was exiled by Rome. He basically was, like being in jail. So, they probably would have access to anything he's writing. So the Most High had it in vision and dream form, so that those who are out, who are of the nations, they won't know what it means. So that's why when you read books like Revelation, you're not gonna get the understanding from the other nations. You can't read from European scholars and Bible scholars who are of the other nations and read their understanding of Revelation and think you're gonna get the true understanding. You're not. It's hidden from them. It's hidden from them. Revelation is a whole like visions, like dreams. It's hidden from them, y'all. All right. So now we got the understanding of the dream. Let's keep going. It's about a teaching, an instruction that is hidden from the nations. It's a concealed teaching or instruction from the nations. All right. Let's keep going. So Nebuchadnezzar had this dream, and you know what? His spirit, it says Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was so troubled that his sleep left him. Nebuchadnezzar is a king, y'all, and he did not have the understanding why it was hidden from him on purpose. So yeah, the heathen get dreams. They get dreams from Yahuwah, especially when you're talking about kings. They don't get the interpretation though. They'll get the dreams, but they don't get the interpretation. Who do you think who do you think has the interpretation? We're gonna look at that. But let's keep going. Then the king gave the command to call the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. We'll go ahead and get into that. So let's see who actually gets the interpretation of the dreams. We're gonna look at that real quick. The Hebrew word for interpretation is patar. Okay, that's the Hebrew word for interpretation. Patar. Pei Tav Resh, 866:22. So the breakdown for that, you have the word, and you got the Tav, which means covenant or mark, and then you got the head, the Rosh, or chief, etc. It's about a word of the covenant. It's about a word of the covenant chief, or a word of the covenant head. So what does that mean? A word of the covenant chief. What it means is it's showing that the interpretation comes from the heads or the chiefs who are in covenant. The interpretation comes from those, the heads or the chiefs who are in covenant with Yahuwah. That's who the interpretation belongs to. Don't nobody else have it. Ain't nobody else gonna get the interpretation. But the heads who are in covenant with Yahuwah, which is who? Yasharal. DANIYEL, we know that Daniel was a chief. He was a head that was in covenant with the Most High. That's one of the reasons why he was up there in the king's table. They recognize that. You know what I'm saying? So, you have Nebuchadnezzar. He's having dreams. He's a head. He's a chief. He's a king. But he's not in covenant with Yahuwah, so it's hidden from him. That's why he is going crazy so much that he can't even sleep. He's going so crazy that he can't even sleep, because he wants to know what this means. Because Yahuwah gave him that dream. But the interpretation, you can even see in the Hebrew word for interpretation that it comes from it's a word from the covenant chief, from the covenant head. You're only going to get that interpretation from the chiefs that are the heads that are in covenant with Yahuwah. That's the distinction. Yes. The other nations will get dreams from Yahuwah, even visions, but the interpretation belongs to those who are in covenant with Yahuwah, which is his set apart ones. Yasharal. So, but King Nebuchadnezzar didn't know that. He didn't know that at first. So what did he do? Let's see what he did. What did he do? What did he do? Let's see what he did next. So then the king gave the command to call the magicians. Are the magicians in covenant with Yahuwah? Nope. Then he called the astrologers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. Okay, but they're not in covenant with Yahuwah. You see what I'm saying? So they came and stood before the king. So let's look at these three people who King Nebuchadnezzar called. He called the magicians, the astrologers, and the sorcerers. Then it says, and the Chaldeans, but that seems to mean the same. That basically it's grouping them all together. But yeah, let's look at this, y'all. Let's look at this. All right, this is the Hebrew word for magicians. We're gonna look at a little bit of Hebrew tonight, but it's Hartam. Hartam. H2748. It means magicians, diviners, engravers, or writers. Okay. This is the Hebrew word for magicians. Hartam. It's about this is here you still see the breakdown, but this means that it's about chiefs who give their offerings and sacrifices to the kingdom of darkness. But they do it in concealment. They do it in secret. But this is about heads or chiefs who give their offerings, their gifts, their sacrifices to the kingdom of darkness. So what does that mean? What does that mean when I say that? Basically, this means that the people who find themselves sacrificing and offering for the kingdom of darkness will either fall into divination or magic, or they will move in divination themselves. They will fall for divination, they will fall into following it, or they will move in it themselves. I'll give you an example. So when you're talking about divination, diviners, magicians, it's about who you are sacrificing to. So those who sacrifice and give their offerings and sacrifices to the kingdom of darkness, they will be into divination and magic, or they will be moving in it themselves. Okay, here's an example. This is why strip clubs, there has to be money given. There has to be physical money being offerings given, because the whole stuff surrounding the strip clubs, it surrounds around like divination and magic and sorcery. The whole concept with the pole that goes all the way back to, we've been talking about this for years, but the Asherah poles and all that stuff. So there has to be an offering given. It has to be offering given. If someone goes to the strip club and they're giving their money and laying it out on the pole or on the floor or whatever, on the floor, things like that, and laying it out to these women, you're literally giving your money to the kingdom of darkness. You're giving your offerings to the kingdom of darkness. That's why Yahusha talked about that stuff and said, where your treasure is, that your heart will be also. You can tell whom you serve by where your treasure is going, by where your offerings are going, who you are sacrificing to. That's your allure. And so magician, astrology, magic, magicians, and diviners, divination is basically is associated with people who all their sacrifices go to the kingdom of darkness. All your money goes to, as far as your offerings, it goes to something surrounding the kingdom of darkness, maybe pornography. Because you are helping the pornography industry. If you're helping the pornography industry to flourish, because you're giving thousands of dollars a year to the pornography industry, you are probably fell into some divination. You probably done fell into some magic. Then got totally like hypnotized. Basically, you're under a spell if you are giving all your money, number one, like for example, to the strip. Man, I knew people used to get all their money to the strip. I did not understand it. It's an addiction. They get all their money, go to the strip club, spend thousands of dollars. Man, I had an aunt when I was growing up. Man, he came up on a lot of money. He started working overseas, and we would come back. I mean, giving thousands and thousands of dollars to the strip club. Yeah, I did not understand it. I never went with him or nothing like that. But now I see, because he has been hypnotized. He got caught up in divination and magic. Because as soon as you start giving your money to that, that's how you get caught up in it. That's how they get you. They try to get you to give an offering to that cause. That's how they get your heart. That's why Yahushua said, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. So you got to be careful of where you are giving your sacrifices to, your money to, because your money symbolizes a piece of you. Your finances, your wealth symbolizes a piece of you. That's why in the scriptures in Torah, Yahuwah had, when he wanted to make the tabernacle, he could have had Malachim come down and just make the tabernacle. He didn't do that. He had all the children of Yasharal to give their possessions, to give their jewels, their diamonds, gold, silver, etc., etc. He had to come from the children of Israel to make the tabernacle. That was a commandment. And all the children of Israel came and they brought these things so that the tabernacle will actually be made from the offerings of the people, because remember, the tabernacle represents the body. The tabernacle, the scriptures say your body is the body is the tabernacle of the Ruach HaKodesh. The tabernacle represents the body. It represents the bride. It represents the people. So in a sense, with it being made from the offerings of the people, it's like a piece of that person was used to make the tabernacles. You know what I'm saying? And so, number one, that'll help their heart be more for Yahuwah. That'll help their heart be framed more to Yahuwah. And so on and so forth. The reality is, what you sacrifice for, your heart's going to be more for that. That's why, in order, there's a lot of things, but, that's why in marriage, it takes sacrifice for your marriage to really be through. Because if you don't really sacrifice, especially from the husband's perspective, he's supposed to sacrifice for his bride, just like Yahushua sacrificed for his bride, just like Yaakov sacrificed. Yaakov slaved 14 years for his brides. Worked as a slave, y'all. It's this concept that where you're supposed to sacrifice for your bride, and then that'll actually bring the bond together. That'll make the marriage last. If the man didn't sacrifice anything when the man doesn't sacrifice anything for his woman, it a lot of times don't work, because it's something about that forms the heart towards that person on another level. It's hard for him to see her as valuable as he should when he doesn't make a sacrifice for her. And it's the same thing for Yahuwah. You gotta that's why Yahuwah, he has a whole system of sacrifices to him that he established and set up. Oh man. Because that's just how it works. That's the way we're wired. We have to sacrifice for the things we value, or we will not value it. We'll take it for granted. That's just how it goes. So, that's the concept of magicians, okay? Another thing, it's about who you give your offerings to, giving your offerings to the kingdom of darkness. Another way you can give your offerings to the kingdom of darkness is drugs. If you on drugs, if you're a drug addict, even if you're a weed addict, because people be like, oh, it's just weed. Okay. That's divination in the scriptures. That's sorcery in the scriptures. That's associated with hartam as well, because if you know anybody who's addicted to even weed, where a lot of your money going? Where does most of your money go? It's going to that habit. It's going to that habit, y'all. Most people who have weed habits, they spending multiple thousands of dollars a year on that weed habit without even realizing it. They're spending multiple thousands of dollars a year on that habit. It's literally basically sacrificing to the kingdom of darkness. And we know in the scriptures, because we went through a whole drug series last year, a whole series on drugs. We know in the scriptures, literally, drug use is called sorcery. It's literally called that. So it's all associated with each other. All right. So it's the magicians, and then we have the astrologers. So the Hebrew for astrologers is Asaph. That's like my name, right? My name is Asaph. Asaph Yahoo. So this the thing. It's spelled different though. So that's not the same as my name. My name is Aleph Samik Pay. But this is Aleph Sheen Pay. So even though it's similar to my name and even the breakdown is similar, there's a difference. So Asaph, Yahoo, Asaph, Aleph Samik Pay. I talked to the house about it, but it means a strong. The breakdown is it's a strong leader who secures the word. So it's about being about the word of Yahuwah. Really being about securing the word and bringing it out and making, bringing it out properly and things like that. Really securing the word. And that's why part of my function, as y'all notice, I'm old. A big part of my function is to really be in the word a lot. Just very, very specifically. So that's why we have things like this prep day where we're going through the scriptures, midrash. Many of y'all be on the midrash too. On Shabbos we might go through we're going to go through the Torah portion, etc., etc., etc. That's just a part of my function because your name is associated with your function. So if y'all want to have an idea what your function is, get the breakdown of your name. I didn't even realize that until after we was doing all this stuff, and Yahuwah gave me the revelation like in 2022 about my name. I'm like, oh snap, that's why my name is Asaph. Oh snap. I'm functioning in my name and didn't even realize it, That's why, the midrash and all these different things like that. That's just, how that goes. So I say that to say, in contrast, though, the word for conjurer, necromancer, astrologers is asaph or ashaf with a sheen instead of a samik. The samik means to secure or to surround, like to protect and things like that. But the sheen is different. It can mean to corrupt or to crush. It could also mean to consume, like two teeth. It could also mean light, like fire, or a lamp, etc., etc. But in this context, it's a strong corrupting of the word. Okay. So my name is about securing the word, but Ashaf, the astrologers and necromancers, they about corrupting the word. It's a strong corrupting of the word. It's a strong corrupting of the word. And so some examples of that, because when we think of astrologers, necromancers, which necromancers is like people who try to, like consult, the people who have passed away and things like that. Maybe consult famous people or family members, etc. But a conjurer of ruachs, basically. Keeping that in mind, when we think about astrologers, necromancers, and stuff like that, we thinking about like hocus pocus people. We thinking about like these weird people who are, I don't know, doing some weird stuff like you see on TV. But we don't realize that a shaf can easily be the people we see all the time. People like that. You know what I'm saying? That's Al Sharpton. He's a pastor. That's why his name is Reverend Al Sharpton. He's a Baptist minister and a government plant. He admitted that he was a government informant at one point in time for the FBI. He was planted to be, and they call him a civil rights activist, but nobody chose him. He was planted. He's in bed with the government. That's why he has his own show on MSNBC and on mainstream news. That's why he's touted and put in everybody's face, at least, especially in the past. I know he's older now, but nevertheless, that's why. But he ain't bringing out no Torah, but he's a reverend. When the Torah is the constitution for Yasharal. So if he's correcting if he is corrupting the word, then he falls under the actually he falls under this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What about these folks? You know, it's something I had pulled that off of online, so it's not no high definition picture, but basically these are all. Some of y'all might not have been in the church, so y'all might not know, but you know, it's Creflo Dollar. I forgot some of these people's name. Joel Osteen. Oh, I messed it up. That's Joel Osteen. He in Houston. He has a big old mega church. You know, these are basically what they would call, you know, pastors that have big mega churches who are millionaires. I think he might have passed away though. I think he passed away. But the point is, we don't look at them as like associated with like divination, astrologers, necromancers. We don't look at them as being, we think of some hocus pocus stuff. Remember the magicians, the astrologers, and they were the king. They are who the king's go-to people, religious leaders that the king Nebuchadnezzar went to, and he was the king of Babylon. These are the religious leaders of Babylon, of America. Yeah. Yeah, look at him. This was some years ago. You had Donald Trump chilling. He went to the black church. I can't play the videos or they'll cut me off. So I just did a quick screenshot. But this when Donald Trump visited the black church that one time. I think that dude, I think his son ended up being an Israelite. I don't know if he still is. A well-known dude. I believe that's his dad. I can't remember his name right now, but he was an actor and stuff and became an Israelite at one point in time. Don't know if he still is, but I know at one point in time. I believe that's the same person. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Donald Trump, chilling. Look at this. Again, I can't play the video, so I just did a screenshot. You know what I'm saying? But y'all see the headlines. It says President Trump meets religious leaders. That's who the magicians, the astrologers, and the what's the third one? Magicians, astrologers, and the sorcerers were. They were the religious leaders of that time, who the king consulted with. Yeah. We don't think of them as astrologers, magicians. If they're not teaching Torah, they're not teaching the commandments. They coming with a corrupted word. Then they will fall under that umbrella, y'all. That's the breakdown. It's a strong corrupting of the word. A strong corrupting of the word. It's like a tampered with word, a corrupted word. Some of these dudes that we be thinking are that we used to follow, that are pastors and stuff, are high ranked like astrologers. Very high ranked. So that's the word basically for astrologers. And then the last one was sorcerers. So that Hebrew word for sorcerers is kasaf or kasap. So as you see, the word for sorcerers is very similar to the word for astrologers, asap. The only difference is the first letter. So as you see, both of these are about corrupting the word, y'all. So kasap, which is this word for sorcerers, witchcraft, and witch, they're related to each other, y'all. They're almost synonymous on the cool. They're almost synonymous, y'all, because kasaf is about and y'all can probably already guess it, but it's about giving. It's about one who gives a corrupted word. It's about one who gives out a corrupted word. That's what they be doing. They're dishing out or giving out this like corrupted, tampered with word. It's a word that's tampered with, that's corrupted. It is not the pure word that's secure, that's according to the covenant. You see what I'm saying? So, let's go to, I'm going to show y'all this scripture. Go to Shemot real quick. All right, this is what I just talked about, a corrupted word, a tampered with word. Remember that the word is also associated with the meat, basora, tampered with basora, tampered with like what we would call in English gospel, because the Hebrew word for meat is basora. It's the same word for gospel. It says here, and you shall be kodesh men to me. You shall not eat meat that's torn by beasts in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. So what is this saying? This is very Ruach Torah precept. This is saying that you shall be kodesh men to me. You shall not take in a doctrine, a word that is tampered with, that is corrupted by who? Beasts. That's the other nations, y'all. That's the other nations. You shall be kodesh men to me. You shall not eat meat, a word, a basora, a gospel. You shall not consume or listen or take in or receive a word that has been tampered with by the other nations in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. What does that mean? Yeah, that's for the other nations. That's not for you. It is tampered with. It's been defiled. It's a defiled word. That is why in chapter 1, what happened in Daniel chapter 1? Remember that? Y'all got to go there. Y'all remember? We'll go there. We'll just go there just for fun, okay? In Daniel chapter 1, look what happened. It says, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's delicacies. They're talking about the king's food. They're talking about meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the chief of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. We know he's talking about meat. Why? Look what David asked. I'm sorry, Daniel asked. He said, verse 12, please test your servants for 10 days and let them give us vegetables. That's how you know the issue was the meat. And Daniel asked, hey, can you please just give us vegetables? Because it was about he was not trying to deal with a tampered with doctrine. That was the symbolism of that. That's what that really meant. You see what I'm saying? That's what that really meant. You're not supposed to eat meat that is torn by beasts. We were never supposed to be trying to learn the word from the other nations. Because it's tampered with, it's torn. They take pieces of it. You ever had, like, let's say meat, you ever saw like meat once it got tampered with by animals? Let's say you eating some ribs or some beef ribs, okay? And let's say you give some to your dog. And let's say your dog eats some of it, but he don't eat it all. Maybe was already full, so he just kind of tampered with it a little bit and then left it there. You wouldn't touch that. You'll be like, nah, man, that thing just gonna have to go in the trash. It's defiled now because the dog he done touched it. He done some of his saliva done got on it. He done bit pieces off. It's all tampered with and touched on. And I don't care if it's 90% still there, man. That whole thing gotta go. Because it's this thing with this truth mixed with error. It's some truth in it. Yeah, you go to the church, they're going to tell you some truth. They are. They're going to tell you not to commit adultery. They're going to tell you not to kill, not to steal. They're going to have a lot of truth. But it's mixed with error. It's tampered with. They take some pieces and cherry pick it out the scriptures, and then they leave some parts of the scriptures alone. They say, okay, all right, stuff about keeping Shabbat, leave that part out. Leave that out. But tithing, oh yeah. Let's do that. Let's keep that in there. Let's see. What else? Keeping the feast days? Nah, we'll leave that part out. We'll leave all that stuff out. Not moving in the ways of the heathen, not moving in the ways of the other nations. Okay, we won't talk about that. Nah, we'll leave that part out. But not stealing. Okay, we'll keep that. It's tampered with. The scriptures say you're not supposed to add or take away from his word. You're not supposed to do that. But the word we've been getting in these churches has been all kind of added and taken away from it. It's literally a whole doctrine saying a whole part of the scriptures is taken away. Yeah, joyfully. It's literally a whole doctrine across the whole church where they say the whole majority. Y'all know the majority of the scriptures is the Old Testament, is the Torah. Well, the Old Testament, the Tanakh and Torah mixed together. That makes up the majority of the scriptures. That's like, 80% of the scriptures? The Brit Hadashah is maybe, 20% of all the scriptures? And they tell you to throw 80% of the book away. How that makes sense? How that makes sense? Man, that's the wild, y'all. That's the wild. Anyway. But, let's keep going. Aliyah shalom to you. All praise to the Most High. All right, let's see here. So There we go. All right. So the king gave the command. He called the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers. Now we have a better understanding of what that's about, because it's really about people who are bringing out. They don't have it. They don't. Because remember, the interpretation is about those. It's going to come from those who are in covenant with Yahuwah. It's the chiefs who are in covenant with Yahuwah. These guys, they're giving a corrupted word. So he went to the wrong people. Nebuchadnezzar didn't know better. He went and got the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, the Chaldeans to tell the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king, and the king said to him, I have a dream, and my spirit is anxious to know the dream. And the Chaldeans spoke to the king in Aramaic. So the first thing they did was they started talking in Aramaic. O king, live forever, tell your servants the dream, and we will give the interpretation. Okay, now this is interesting. So I told y'all the Hebrew word for interpretation. The Hebrew word, and this is why it's always important to do your best to look at the Hebrew. For interpretation is pratar. Like I said, it's about a word coming from the covenant chief. It's about a word of the covenant chief or covenant head. It's basically a word that's going to come. That word, that interpretation is going to come from someone who's in covenant with the chiefs. But if you look at the actual Aramaic word for interpretation, which is in there, if you look under Strong's under that word in verse 4, it's actually pushar. I thought that was very interesting. That's the Aramaic word for interpretation. That's what you're going to see in Daniel chapter 2, verse 4, because that verse is in Aramaic. It goes back to a corrupted word, y'all. It's about a word that is corrupted by a chief or a head. That's the breakdown. A word that is corrupted or tampered with by a head. Oh, man, I ain't mean to do that. Yeah, a word that's corrupted by a head. What does that mean? Well, if you go to someone, because remember, that's the Babylonians. That's what Aramaic was. The Babylonians spoke there. So you try to go to the Babylonians to get the interpretation, it's going to be corrupted. It's going to be tampered with. It's not going to be through. It's not going to be true. You see what I'm saying? And so I thought that was interesting nevertheless. But let's see here. All right, let's go back to there we go. All right, let's see here. So the Chaldeans spoke to the king in Aramaic, O king, live forever, tell your servants the dream, and we will give the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, my decision is firm. If you do not make known the dream to me and its interpretation, you shall be cut in pieces, which is interesting. This is a lot, y'all. This is when you see the Hebrew, it really, really gives you more understanding. So, because remember the astrologers and the magicians and all that surrounded around tampered with corrupted word. You see what I'm saying? And like the sheen, for example, ashaf, it's about a strong corrupting of the word or cutting. Like the sheen, the corrupting is by cutting it, tampering with it. The sheen is like two teeth that can cut, split apart, separate. It's tampered with. And the word is also like meat, like the basura, food, bread, food that's tampered with, meat. Those are things of the word. You got the meat of the word. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the word that's cut in pieces. See what I'm saying? It's like the word that's cut in pieces is what the astrologers and necromancers and the diviners do, and the magicians. They're bringing out a word that's cut in pieces, that's tampered with, meat that's tampered with by beasts. So that's why it's very interesting that the king said this. He said, my decision is firm. If you do not make known the dream to me and its interpretation, you shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made an ash heap. That is very significant, because it's almost like Yahuwah gave, something happened to where Yahuwah gave Nebuchadnezzar the discernment that, man, these people, these religious leaders that I have hired, these wise men, they ain't doing, they cutting this, they not giving me a through words. It's something they must have done in the past where he discerned it. He's like, they giving me a corrupted word. This stuff they giving me is tampered with and cut in pieces. So you know what? I need y'all to give me the real thing. I need y'all to give me the real word, the real interpretation, or I'm going to cut all y'all into pieces. I'm going to cut y'all into pieces. Y'all following what I'm saying? That's what's going on here. All right. Let's keep going. Verse 6, however, if you tell the dream and its interpretation, you shall receive from me gifts, rewards, and great honor. Therefore tell me the dream and its interpretation. They answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will give its interpretation. The king answered and said, I know for certain that you would gain time, because you see that my decision is firm. If you do not make known the dream to me, there is only one decree for you. For you have agreed. Now, this is the big thing. He discerned it. For you have agreed to speak lying and corrupt words. That's literally the breakdown for magicians and sorcerers and all those things like that. He said, for you have agreed to speak lying and corrupt words before me till the time has changed. Therefore, tell me the dream, and I shall know that you can give me its interpretation. He ain't trust them at all. Something happened to where he discerned it. He's like, y'all be duping me. They must have gave him some bad interpretations in the past. Some, or Yahuwah might have just gave him the discernment that these dudes is not to be trusted. They coming with some stuff that just ain't 100. All right. The Chaldeans answered the king and said, there is not a man on the Eretz who can tell the king's matter. Therefore no king, master, or ruler has ever asked such things of any magician, astrologer, or Chaldean. It's a difficult thing that the king requests, and there is no other who can tell it to the king except the Elohim. We talked about this last week. They're saying something here. Who are the Elohim but those who are the sent ones of Yahuwah? He's letting you know that the only people who are going to know the interpretation of this dream, or who are going to be able to do, he told Nebuchadnezzar the truth. He told King Nebuchadnezzar the truth. He said the only people that can do this are those basically who are of Yahuwah, the Elohim. Yeah. But Nebuchadnezzar didn't receive that very well, did he? He didn't. Look what it says. It says, he said, well, I'll start at verse 11 again. It says, it's a difficult thing that the king requests, and there is no other who can tell it to the king except the Elohim, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this reason, the king was angry. So y'all notice Nebuchadnezzar did not take that very well. So why did the king get angry with that? Why did the king get angry with that response, y'all? This is why I believe he got angry with that response. I submit he got angry with that response because y'all supposed to be, I hired y'all. I gave y'all all this kavod. I've been paying y'all. I hired y'all because y'all, I thought that's who y'all was. Y'all supposed to be the Elohim. Y'all supposed to have a connection with the Most High. Y'all supposed to be these people who's supposed to be able to do this. Y'all supposed to be the Elohim. That's who I thought y'all was. Y'all was out here acting like y'all was. Once they gave that excuse and said only the Elohim, whose dwelling is not with flesh, can give this interpretation, I feel like he felt like he was duped. All y'all gotta be put to death. Y'all gotta think about it, y'all. King ain't gonna be that extreme just cause. Nah, he felt duped. He felt bamboozled, y'all. He felt hoodwinked. All y'all gotta go. Because y'all was out here faking like y'all were of the Elohim. And y'all not. In his mind, he's like, man, I'm the king of the biggest empire in the world. I need the real Elohim to consult with. I need the real people. I don't need none of y'all. All y'all gotta go. Cause y'all been lying to me all these years. You see what I'm saying? He's like, man, all y'all gotta go. So for this reason, the king was angry, very furious, and gave the command to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. The decree went out, and they began killing the wise men. And they sought Daniel and his companions to kill them. Because in his mind, y'all are just some more of them magicians too. Y'all are the same thing. Then with counsel and wisdom, Daniel answered Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to kill the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree from the king so urgent? Then Arioch made the decision known to Daniel, and so Daniel went in and asked the king to give him time that he might tell the king the interpretation. So Daniel, he had that favor, so he's like, man, I can get it. Just give me time. So then it says, and Daniel went to his house and made the decision known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. That's his people right there, man. His companions, that they might seek mercies from the allure of the Shamayim concerning this secret, so that Daniel and his companions might not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then the secret was revealed to Daniel in the night vision. What was revealed? Listen, it's the secret was revealed. Because remember, when you're looking at the Hebrew word for dream, it's literally an instruction. That's what the lamed is. It's a staff, which means instruct, can mean instruction or doctrine or teaching. It's an instruction that is concealed from the nations. It's hidden, y'all. It's a secret. But it says here that this secret was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. So Daniel blessed the allure of the Shamayim. Daniel answered and said, Baruch be the name of allure forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his, and he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. That's probably Hakma and Banah. He reveals deep and secret things, y'all. He reveals deep and secret things, y'all. That is huge. And he reveals that to who? The people that he is in covenant with. He reveals that to people that he's in covenant with. I'll give y'all another example. He reveals the secrets to his covenant people. Genesis, Bereshit 18, verse 17. Look at this. And Yahuwah said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him, in order that he may command his children. Known him means like intimate. They're in covenant with each other. You see what I'm saying? That he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of Yahuwah to do righteousness and justice, that Yahuwah may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him. So, yeah, Abraham is a real through example, because this is when Yahuwah was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And Yahuwah revealed that secret to Abraham, y'all. He did. because he was in covenant. He was in covenant. Abraham was a chief in covenant with the Most High. Yahuwah revealed it to Abraham, y'all. Abraham knew ahead of time that Yahuwah was about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham had the heads up enough so that then he was able to petition for his cousin, his nephew, and even got his nephew out of there because of that. Yeah, I know this verse, Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret, or Devarim 29:29. The secret things belong to Yahuwah our Eluah, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So the way they worded in English is not really done the best. What this is really saying is that the secret things of Yahuwah are revealed to those that keep the Torah. Basically, to those to our children, our descendants, to our people that keep the words of the Torah, that are in covenant. In other words, the covenant people. The secret things of Yahuwah belong to those he's in covenant with. That's the best way to say this, or to summarize that. You even see this in the Brit Hadashah. Romans chapter 3, verse 2. This is in the Brit Hadashah, in the book of Romain. Yeah, this is Paul saying this. Yeah. What advantage then has the Yahudim, or the Jew? Or what is the profit of circumcision? Meaning, what's the profit of being an Israelite? That's just another way of saying that. Much in every way, chiefly because to them were committed the oracles of Eluah. Y'all, that's huge. This is in the Brit Hadashah. Paul asked the question, what advantage is there to be an Israelite? What advantage is there to be of the Yahudim? He said much in every way, chiefly because to them, meaning to the Israel, were committed the oracles of Eluah. So that means that if he said that, that means the oracles were not committed to anybody else. They weren't committed to anybody else. And even if you look at that word oracles, Lagion, that goes into the oracles, divine oracle, utterances, the words of Eluah, the utterances of Eluah, and the Torah that says the contents of the Mosaic law. Yeah. All right, let's go back. Verse 22, he reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells with him. I thank you and praise you, O Eluah of my fathers. You have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we asked of you. For you have made known to us the king's demand. Hallelujah. That's so through. Verse 24. Let's see how much time we got. Man, hold up. Let's see what we looking at. All right, well, it's not bad. We've only been an hour in, so we're gonna get through this. Okay. All right. Therefore Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon. he went and said thus to him, do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Take me before the king, and I will tell the king the interpretation. There it goes, that word, interpretation. Then Arioch quickly brought Daniel before the king and said thus to him, I have found a man of the captives of Yehuda who will make known to the king the interpretation. So Arioch, that's how you know Arioch, Daniel had favor. Daniel had so much favor, he was cool with the dude that King Nebuchadnezzar sent out to kill him, to kill all the wise men, which would eventually included him. They was cool. And so Arioch went quickly and probably was trying to hurry up because he didn't want to kill Daniel. Like, okay, Daniel, let me hurry up. And Arioch had confidence in Daniel. He was like, man, he told the king, hey, Daniel, he going to give you the interpretation. He got it. He going to give you it to you. So I thought that was very interesting. Then Arioch quickly brought Daniel before the king and said thus to him, I have found a man of the captives of Judah who will make known to the king the interpretation. The king answered and said to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, are you able to make known to me the dream which I've seen and its interpretation? So he wanted to make sure, okay, you're going to tell me the dream and interpretation? You're going to have to do both. Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king has demanded, the wise men, look how he laid this out, y'all. The wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers cannot declare to the king. Oh, no. They're not in covenant with Yahuwah because interpretation, according to the Hebraic ancient understanding, when you break down the letters, it's going to come from someone who's in covenant with Yahuwah, who has the oracles of the Most High committed to. So you're like, man, the astrologers, magicians, they can't declare that to you. But there is a Alua of the Shamaim who reveals secrets. Oh, yeah. And he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days. Your dream and the visions of your head upon your bed were these. As for you, O king, thoughts came to your mind while on your bed about what will come to pass after this. And he who reveals secrets, they see how that keep being repeated. That's the big deal about dreams. It's not just about getting dreams. It's about the dreams being revealed as far as what they mean, as far as the interpretation. He who reveals secrets has made known to you what will be. But as for me, this secret has not been revealed to me because I have more wisdom than anyone living, but for our sakes who make known the interpretation to the king, and that you may know the thoughts of your heart. You, O king, were watching, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose splendor was excellent, stood before you, and its form was awesome. This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. So keep in mind that the stone struck the image on its feet of iron and clay. The stone struck a certain place that broke them into pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. All right. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings, for the Alua of the Shamaim has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and kabod, and glory. And wherever the children of men dwell or the beasts of the field and the birds of the Shamaim, he has given them into your hand and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. So he's letting them know that this statue is representing these nations, y'all. Every piece of metal. But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours, then another, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything. And like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all of the others. Whereas you saw the feet and toes partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Yet the strength of the iron shall be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with the ceramic clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of these kings, the allure of the Shamaim will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great allure has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. Wow. Man. So Yahuwah revealed it. Yahuwah revealed it. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face prostrate before Daniel. Nebuchadnezzar trying to worship Daniel, y'all. Look, he had commanded that they should present an offering and incense to him. You see this? So this is showing you the concept of magicians, because that's about offerings and sacrifices being given to the kingdom of darkness. And that's what King Nebuchadnezzar was doing. That's probably why he felt so duped. He wanted to give an offering and incense to Daniel. The king answered Daniel and said, truly your allure is the allure of Elohim, the Adon of kings, and a revealer of secrets, since you could reveal this secret. Then the king promoted Daniel and gave him many great gifts, and he made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief administrator over all the wise men of Babylon. Also Daniel petitioned the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So, Daniel was a real ox. He even put his boys on. He put his Akeem, he put his partners on. When he came up, he made sure his boys came up too. Y'all see that? It said he petitioned and he got all his homeboys through jobs. That's real. Y'all remember when I think LeBron did it. There's some other people who did that when they blew up. They pulled all their homeboys, as much as they could, all their homeboys up that they grew up with and stuff. Cause yeah, that's the thing. Nobody wants to be like successful by yourself. So it was Thub, man. He had pulled all his boys up. All right, so let's look at this. Let's look at this, and then we'll close after that. But all right, so this is, I know this picture ain't that Thub, y'all, but it's just something I pulled online real quick. So this is a artist depiction of the statue that was seen in the dream, okay? So in the dream, the interpretation was that the head of gold was Babylon, okay? Then he said that a kingdom after Babylon, which was the silver that was inferior to Babylon, would come and rule the world afterwards. So we know exactly who that was because, you just got to look at history. It's actually in the scriptures. Persia came right after Babylon, and they ended up ruling the world. That's the silver. Then you have the bronze. The bronze is Greece. We know that because you just know history. After Persia, the Grecian Empire came and conquered the world, the known world. It was during this time when you had the Maccabees and all those things like that. During this time of the silver, so every single one of these kingdoms had us in captivity. Every single one of these kingdoms had us in captivity. So the silver was the Persian Empire. That's the one who they had us in the Persian captivity. That's during the days of the book. When you read the book of Esther, that was during that time, roughly. Then you have the Greece. Greece ended up ruling the world. That is when you read the book of Maccabees. That's more when you get into the apocryphal books. Once Greeks took over, things was totally different. Things was way different than, totally different level. That's when Europeans started ruling. Once the Europeans started taking over, it was just a whole different types of captivity. The Grecian captivity was horrible. All y'all got to do is read the book of Maccabees. It was horrible. But nevertheless, that was the bronze. So as you see, the metals become lower and lower. They become lower. Silver is not as valuable as gold. Bronze ain't as valuable as silver. So each kingdom is becoming more and more inferior. See? But y'all notice it's one statue. It's one body. Ain't that interesting? That's why you have Yasharal. You have us, which is the body of Yahusha. We're one body versus the other nations. They're all one body. When you're talking about the other nations, they are one. That's what this is showing y'all. Yeah, do they fight each other? Yeah. Do they have different ideals and different religions and things like that? Yeah, but it's one body. All of that is under the marine kingdom. All of that is under the kingdom of darkness. All that is through Hasatan. It's through the same person. It's one body, y'all. That's why when you read the scriptures, they just call all of them the Gentiles. They're one people, and in a sense, it's one body. And the people of Yasharal is one body. We're the body of Yahusha. We're the body of Mashiach. Those who are, Kodesh and set apart and sealed to him in covenant. But you can be an Israelite and join yourself to the body of the body of the beast, the body of the nations. You can do that if you want to. And so, keeping that in mind, after Greece, you had Rome. Rome was iron, and y'all know iron ain't worth about nothing. Iron ain't even looked at even today as nothing valuable like that. Ain't nobody gonna have like no iron necklace on or nothing like that. Iron is like not very valuable. You know what I'm saying? It's hard though. It's used. Iron is used for like war and swords and things like that. And so Rome was known for being extreme at warring. And then you have the feet of iron and clay. It says here the revived Roman Empire, but you can say that, but really this is the time that we're in today. You can call it the revived Roman Empire. It's just really the West. It's Europe, the European powers. It's the West. It's the Americas, Europe, etc., etc. That's the West. It's the iron mixed with clay. That's the time that we are in today. That's a big deal. How do we know that this is the time that we're in today? All you got to do is follow. It's easy. Follow the timeline in history. The Roman Empire was the last empire before we got into the time of the Americas. The American Empire, I guess you can call it. Before the American Empire, you had the Middle Ages and things like that. That was like the Roman Empire, in a sense. You had like 70 AD when we got sacked by Rome and went into captivity. That was the silver. You notice how the silver is 2 legs, and you notice how long it is? This went a long time. The Roman Empire time, that's when you had Catholicism was birthed. That's when they changed the laws and they changed the commandments and changed Sabbath to Yom Rishon, all these things, or Sunday in English. All these things like that. They changed the times and laws. That's when we were in the worst captivity ever, where Rome was doing the Inquisition, things like that, the Middle Ages. And which led to the American captivity, which is this: the iron mixed with clay. That's today. You can't get around this because the American Empire is what started after the Roman Empire was done. Let me ask you this. If the feet is today, it said a stone was going to strike a part of the statue. What part was it going to strike? Listen, y'all. Daniel chapter 2 is an ancient book written thousands of years ago, and it's letting you know that the time we are in is literally the time of the very last empire before the kingdom. The American Empire is the last captivity. The stone is going to strike the feet. Yes, Yirmiyahu and Shamayahu. The stone is going to strike this captivity, this empire. We are in the last captivity. The kingdom of the Shamaim is at hand, y'all. The American Empire is the summation of the statue. It's the foot of the statue. Like Yirmiyahu and Shemayahu said, it's the foundation. And it's the weakest out of all the kingdoms before it. It's made out of a mixture of iron and clay. Clay is sand. And that's the foundation, ain't it? Let me show y'all something, y'all. Clay is just dirt, right? I don't know if some of y'all probably know where I'm about to go to, but we got to go there. We about to wrap it up. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine, this is Yahusha speaking. This is Matthew chapter 7. My apologies. Matthew or Matthew chapter 7. It's the Brit Hadashah. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. Wasn't it a stone that struck the foot that becomes a big mountain? It says, and the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. And it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on what? The sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Oh, snap. This statue, Mishpaka, is built on the sand. This statue is built on the foundation, has clay in it. It has dirt in it. Clay is just dirt, like sand. No wonder it's going to fall. Those who hear these words of mine and don't do them, I liken them to someone who built their house on the sand. Their foundation is on the sand, so they will fall. And it said, great is its fall. And that's what Daniel 2 said. That's going to happen to the statue. It's going to have a great fall. Yeah, this stuff is wild, Miss Parker. This stuff is wild. So when you look at stone, the Hebrew word for stone is eben. I don't have a slide for that one, but it's aleph bet nun, which is aleph bet, which means the ab. That's your father, right? And then bet nun, which means son, ben. So the stone is about it's father and sons. Dominion through childbearing, through sons. It starts off as a stone. It strikes the foot of the statue. And that's this captivity. It's gonna strike the foot. This captivity. This is something that's like this is supposed to happen during this time, Miss Parker. Sometime during this under this captivity. And it's gonna cause the statue to fall. And then that stone, why do you think that stone will grow and become a big mountain? It's through duplication, multiplication, childbearing. The stone means father, son. Eben, Ab, Ben, father, son. You have been prophesying that since the days of Abraham, that his seed will fill the earth. That stone will grow and become a big mountain. We're at the time for the kingdom to be here, y'all. We're at the time. The kingdom of the Shamaim is at hand. So don't be someone whose house is built on the sand. That's who does not do the words of Yahuwah. You're not keeping the commandments. You're not moving in righteousness. You're going to go down with the statue. You're basically Babylonian. Your foundation is on the sand. But he said those who hear the words and do them is like one whose foundation is on what? The rock. You'll be associated with the stone. All right. I'll read this one more time. It says in verse 44. It's a whole lot more to this, but we'll have to we'll do some overlapping next week. But the read verse 44 says, and in the days of these kings, the allure of the Shamaim will set up a kingdom. He said, in the days of these kings, what king? He's talking about the foot. In the days of the foot of the statue, the time we're in now. The allure of the Shamaim will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, y'all. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Nope, it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All the other nations rise and fall. But see, the thing is that they never really rose and fell in a sense because they're all a part of the same body. So it's like one type of the nation will rise, it'll fall, and then another, then it'll resurrect in a sense, but it won't be as valuable as before. It's like watered down more and more. So that's why each time it was less valuable. It started off as gold, but then it went down to silver, bronze, etc., etc. But that's why when it comes to us, we got to be gold. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother thing. All right, y'all. But let's see here. See what y'all got. See what y'all got. All praise to the Most High. Said to their own delusion, divination. I think you're talking about when we were looking at the word. But yeah, like people who give their offerings to the kingdom of darkness could be under a delusion. They'd be hypnotized. You know, they're under divination. That's definitely an aspect of it, but there's more to it than that. But that's true as well. Yirmiyahu and Shemayahu said the work behind it, the sweat, the salt coming out of your body to offer and sacrifice. See it valuable. Calm. Said, man, so true, Mushal. Drugs, alcohol, gambling, so real. Calm. Alicia Sean, the sapphire headband. Man, Gaal be hooking it up. And Augusta, who do the music, she be hooking it up. I need to get me some more. Kimberly Lamar Richardson said, Khan, these are the ones who have deceived many. Man, that's real talk. That's real talk. Alicia Sean said, Joyce Myers, the woman with the mic. I remember, okay, yeah, I remember her, yeah. Yeah, she was real famous back in the day, real famous, millionaire, y'all. Yirmiyahu and Shemayahu said, man, that third one on top. Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. I forgot his name. I know exactly who you're talking about. You're talking about out of the prosperity preachers. Kimberly Lamar Richardson and Brandon T. Jackson. Khan, that was his name. Okay, so yeah, that was his dad, yeah. Khan, Brandon T. Jackson. Raphael said, man, I never thought about that. Yeah, about the pastors. Yeah, man. That's real talk. Yeah. Deontay Stewart said Trump acting like he interested reading the word. Big act. That was kind of funny to me. It was one time he got on there. He had tried to quote like a verse. He couldn't even say the book of the Bible right. He said like, yeah, I like the Bible, guys. 2 Timothy, right? Yeah, see, I know. Everybody was like, what? He didn't even know to say 2 Timothy. It was funny though, because he was trying hard, boy. Raphael said defiled bread, corrupted word. That's it, yo. That's it. Now, Maria said TBN messed our people up, man. That's real. Probably still is. Kimberly Lamar Richardson said, Khan, they're like evil farmers, sowing tares amongst the wheat. Man, that's real. Malaki Al-Hilawah said, straight to the trash with that tampered meat. Khan, yeah. Ain't nobody finna eat no tampered with meat. Look like it been bit off of and stuff. It ain't gonna happen. Joyfully said, they'll say the law's done away with. Khan, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, when you said that. Aaliyah Shoshone said, Khan, my uncle is a pastor and he was heavy on tithing. But say the law done away with tithing, that's a Torah concept. That's in the law. That's not really meant, it's not really dealt with in the Brit Hadashah like that. It is just like a little bit, but not really. Aaliyah Shoshone said, never mention Torah besides the tithing. Oh, man, that stuff crazy. Raphael said, Christianity is just like the pig. Split the hoof, but don't chew the cud. Half truth. Man, you own it. You own it. That's real, Raphael. Yeah, that's real. I remember we talked about that. Like, it's unclean. You know what I'm saying? It's an unclean word. It's an unclean meat. It's truth mixed with error, and that's the issue. It's corrupted. Malaki Al-Hilawah said, interesting, I think, too, to note how close it can be to, at times, counterfeit-like. I'm thinking, Interesting, I think, too, to know how close it can be to at times. Counterfeit, like, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a great example, though. That's a great example. That is a great example. Counterfeit money. You can't buy nothing with counterfeit money, but you can get counterfeit money out there that looks very close to the real thing. You got to look at it closely. You might have to put it up in the light to make sure it's real, or you can get duped and bamboozled to think you got real money and that mug is counterfeit. That's a great example, a great analogy, because the scriptures say the word is like more valuable than precious stones, than like money. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's like it's like that fool's gold. It looked like gold from far away, but once you start putting it to the test, it don't pan out. Cody Wansina said a corrupt word is like eating defiled bread. That's it. Y'all on it. Raphael said it's crazy. Church is connected to the Old English word Circe, which is a powerful sorceress and enchantress, sometimes considered a goddess or a nymph. Man, you going in. I remember Malek Yahusha had did that teaching on that. Man, I remember when he did that. That was years ago, but that was crazy. Like, so that goes that, but that's it. So that's why it shouldn't be found strange that these people who lead these organizations, man, they're associated with diviners and astrologers and etc. Bethsaida said, Khan, they've been lying the whole time, man, for real. Kerry Lamar Richardson said, Khan, even Ahab knew that the prophets of Baal would only prophesy lies to him. And he knew Elijah was going to speak Yahuwah's judgment upon him. Man, that's real. Cody Wansina said, the secret things belong unto Yahuwah Aralua, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this Torah. That's it. Yeah, we were in that card. I brought that out too. Dawid says, sounds like when the magicians could not keep duplicating the plagues in Mitzrayim, then the true people of Yahuwah were revealed. That's it. That's it, man. Malachi Al-Hilal said, I submit the judges, Deborah, Gideon, Samson, Moshe, and others were Barak that way, or were blessed that way too. Okay, I don't remember the context of that one. Amongst others, I meant to say. Okay. All right. Imayasha said, Daniel probably had been given interpretations to Ariat. Maybe so. Maybe he gave it to him so he'll know. Yeah, because he had confidence. He's like, man, that's taking a chance, That's taking a chance. What if he come and say something crazy, But it seemed like he had a relationship with Daniel and knew he was a pretty he had integrity and pretty upright person, so he trusted him when he said he had it. Yeah, Leisha Jones, she said, Khan, the whole team ate. Man, for real, Daniel was a real ark, y'all. He was a real ark. Even Yashayahu said, I thought it was interesting that Daniel said in verse 24, do not kill the wise men of Babylon. Yeah, because I think what that meant, I thought about that too. I think what that meant, they already had killed some, but he was able to stop all of them from being killed. You know what I'm saying? He was able to stop them from going and just killing everybody that was of the wise men. So he saved people's lives. But the scripture did say earlier, I believe a little bit above that they did go out and start killing of the wise men of Babylon. Yirmiyahu and Shemayahu said the body of Yahusha cannot be broken, not one bone. Khan. Says the feet, strike the feet foundation. It don't mix their doctrine, not solid truth. Khan regarding the statue, yeah. Malachi Al-Hilal said, glad you said that, Mushal, the weakest part, that mixture. Man. Khan, he said that formed it in the sand, not rock. Said once it falls, the rock who struck it will be revealed. It's Eben, not Eber. It's Eben. In English, maybe you would say Eben as in Nancy. Aleph Bet. It's in Hebrew. It's Aleph Bet Noon. So that's Father, Son, Ab, Ben. Yeah, but all praise to Yahuwah, y'all. Told out to Yahuwah and Yahusha. Told out to the Most High. So, Most High willing, we'll do this again next week. But love y'all. Much Ahavah. And Lakam La Shalom.